For Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lopes, and we are now joined by head coach Charlie Ginex after his team lost in 3 games tonight to a good NJIT team. And coach, you went up there to New York hoping for a challenge tonight. Looks like you got it. How would you assess your team's play tonight?
I think the biggest thing we took out of tonight was pretty good volleyball at times. It's early on in the season, so you're going to see some things that are just not clicking. We saw that. It was pretty apparent at times that we have some things we need to work on, some chemistry issues that we need to get fixed, some connections weren't working from an offensive standpoint. We have 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, and playing a good team like that's going to challenge us. If those things aren't clicking, it's going to be tough to win. So overall, good night. We learned from it, and I think we're going to move forward. Positive attitude.
Yeah, and Coach, I do want to ask you defensively for you guys tonight. You look at the numbers. You outblocked NJIT. You held Jabari Goodridge to a 0 attack percentage. How pleased were you with your defensive performance tonight?
Well, it's funny. That's really been one of the focal points of our team for pretty much the entire year, going back even to our non-traditional season in the fall. I actually brought a coach on board to really kind of shore up our defense. Jimmy Pompeo, who's been a head coach in Division III the last 3 years himself, actually is an alumni, played for us. It's kind of been his specialty, and it's something he's done very well as he was out there in the coaching world himself. So brought him back on board to kind of hopefully shore that up for us. So defensively, I think we are playing better than we had the last couple of years. And ironically enough, the offense, which is what has been clicking pretty well for the last couple of weeks, was not firing on all cylinders tonight. So, that's the way it goes. Sometimes you get, one thing clicks and the other one doesn't. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Coach, you look at the start of the season for you guys, obviously a tough loss tonight, but you guys came into tonight undefeated, having won your first 5 matches. What have you learned about your team in these first couple of weeks?
I just learned that we have probably, my 4 years that I've been there, the head coach, I think we have one of the most tight-knit groups that we've had. And I think they're really, honestly, and I've used the term before, I got a pretty special group of guys that I'm able to work with every day. And I think that eventually is going to, translate to better volleyball on the court. Right now it's just inexperience. Like I said, 3 freshmen in the starting lineup and some things we're trying to work out. And today we struggled a little bit with some things. But overall, I think, 5-0 going into the match, but tonight wasn't our day, and we'll get back at it, get back to work when we get back to the gym.
Yeah, and Coach, I do want to ask you, because we're seeing some fantastic volleyball being played at the Division III level, not only by your team, but from some of the top teams across the country. So when we get these kind of fun matchups between a D3 and a D1 Division II, what do you feel is the biggest difference between the Division III teams and the D1, D2 teams?
For the most part, if you take the top Division III teams in the country and put them up against, a lot of the Division I schools, not all of them, obviously, but some of them, I should say, you're going to see some pretty good similarities. But I think the one thing that jumps out, at least from our standpoint, I can say it happened tonight. It's happened when we've played Princeton in the past. It's just the pace of the serve. It's the velocity of the serve. Our guys are just not used to seeing, some of the serves that we saw tonight. And it's hard to replicate at our gym. And when you get into it, we were aced tonight. I think we were aced. I could be mistaken, but I think we were aced 11 times or 8 times, which is, for us is way too high. That's too high for anybody, but for us, that's a number that we don't usually see. So we had some miscommunication tonight with, again, some of our passers. One, just struggled in serve receive a little bit more than the others, and I think NJIT capitalized on that. So that's the biggest difference you see, is just the serving as a whole.
Yeah. And Coach, I do want to ask you, about the season, kind of big picture overall. You look at some of the preseason expectations. You've been running a great program that's been making the NCAA tournament, one of the preseason favorites to win the conference. How have your players handled those expectations this year?
I think it's one of the things where we temper it and we just go move forward one day at a time. It's hard not to read the articles and see what people are saying about you, but and then on the flip side, as a coaching staff, we're constantly reminding them that it's not about what we're doing now, it's about what we're doing at the end of the year, and we just try to win each day and get better each day in practice, and if we can do that, then we're going to be where we need to be when we need to be there. So the pressure's there, I guess, because we have been successful in the past, but frankly, until we win a national championship, we know we have work to do. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm going off that, Coach. Two final questions before we let you go here. First, with that being said, what is going to be the one or two big keys that you guys are have to do this season for you guys to be lifting that championship trophy at the end of the year?
I think it's just going to be to play our game ultimately. We've made some changes this year, some system changes, things that we have not done in the past. We're doing in our gym this year. And I think if we can continue to stay the course and know that those things are going to take time to evolve and develop, but that they will eventually get to where we need them to be later in the year, then I think we're going to have an opportunity to do something special.
All right. Coach, a final question for you before we let you go. You run a great program, but I'm sure there's some volleyball people who haven't been able to see your team play. So can you just kind of describe, what your team is able to bring to the court every night?
I think energy is one of them. We've kind of been known for years as a very vivacious bunch, I guess is the best way to put it. I happen to coach a bunch of guys that are really, I use it in the nicest way possible, but a bunch of goofy kids that really like to have fun, and I think that energy is really kind of evident on the court. And, we play for each other. I think, like I said earlier, I think we got a really special group this year, and they're really tight-knit. And I think that eventually is going to bode well for us down the road.